Tomatoes are everywhere. They're in salads, sauces, soups, sandwiches, and even smoothies. But if you live with diabetes, a simple question often comes up. Are tomatoes actually good for diabetics? Many people worry because tomatoes taste slightly sweet. And when something tastes sweet, it naturally raises a concern: will it spike blood sugar? Some people even avoid tomatoes completely, thinking they might raise glucose levels. But here's the surprising truth. Tomatoes might actually be one of the most diabetes-friendly foods in your kitchen. Yes, you heard that right. But before you start adding tomatoes to everything you eat, there are a few important things you need to understand. What exactly makes tomatoes safe or risky for people with diabetes? How do they affect blood sugar levels? And how much is the right amount to eat? In this video, we'll break down the science in a simple and practical way so you can confidently decide whether tomatoes belong in your diabetes-friendly diet. Let's start by understanding what makes tomatoes unique for blood sugar control. To understand whether tomatoes are good for diabetics, we first need to ask a simple question. What exactly is inside a tomato? Tomatoes are surprisingly low in carbohydrates. One medium tomato contains only about 5 grams of carbohydrates. That's a very small amount compared to many fruits. Even more important is something called the glycemic index, or G. The glycemic index measures how quickly a food raises blood sugar levels. Tomatoes have a low glycemic index, which means they digest slowly and usually cause minimal spikes in glucose levels. But that's not the only benefit. Tomatoes are also rich in fiber, vitamin C, potassium, and a powerful antioxidant called lycopene. Lycopene has been studied for its role in reducing inflammation and supporting heart health. And this matters because people with diabetes have a higher risk of heart disease. So when you look at tomatoes nutritionally, they offer low sugar, valuable nutrients, and protective compounds. But there's still another important question. Do tomatoes affect blood sugar differently depending on how they are eaten? Let's explore that next. Now let's talk about who can benefit the most from adding tomatoes to their diet. For people with type 2 diabetes, maintaining stable blood sugar levels is the daily goal. Tomatoes can help because they are low in calories, low in carbohydrates, and rich in fiber. Fiber slows digestion and helps prevent rapid glucose spikes. But tomatoes may also benefit people who are prediabetic. Prediabetes occurs when blood sugar levels are higher than normal but not yet in the diabetic range. At this stage, diet choices can make a huge difference. Eating foods like tomatoes, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins may help support better glucose control. Tomatoes are also helpful for people trying to lose weight, which is another important factor in managing diabetes. Because they are filling but low in calories, tomatoes can help people feel satisfied without overeating. But here's something important many people overlook. Not all tomato products affect blood sugar the same way. And this brings us to the next important point. So far, tomatoes sound like a perfect food for diabetics. But there's an important detail many people miss. Fresh tomatoes and processed tomato products are not always the same. Fresh tomatoes contain natural sugars, but in small amounts. However, some tomato-based foods may contain added sugar, salt, and preservatives. For example, ketchup, sweet tomato sauces, packaged pasta sauces. These products often include extra sugar to improve flavor. And that added sugar can quickly increase carbohydrate intake. Another issue is portion size. Even healthy foods can affect blood sugar if eaten in very large amounts. For most people with diabetes, moderate portions of fresh tomatoes are completely safe. But heavily processed tomato products should be consumed carefully. This is why reading nutrition labels becomes very important. Understanding where hidden sugars appear in tomato foods can help prevent unexpected glucose spikes. Next, let's talk about the healthiest ways to eat tomatoes for better blood sugar control. Now, let's answer one of the most important questions. How do tomatoes actually affect blood sugar after you eat them? When you consume tomatoes, the carbohydrates they contain are digested slowly. Because tomatoes are low in carbohydrates and contain fiber, the body releases glucose into the bloodstream gradually. This slower digestion helps prevent sudden spikes in blood sugar levels. Another benefit is that tomatoes are often eaten with other healthy foods. For example, salads with olive oil, vegetable dishes, lean proteins. When foods are combined like this, digestion slows down even more. That helps keep glucose levels more stable. Some studies also suggest that compounds in tomatoes, especially lycopene, may help reduce oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is linked to many complications of diabetes. But remember, tomatoes are not a magic cure. They are simply one healthy piece of a balanced diet, and the way you prepare them can make a big difference. If you have diabetes, the goal isn't just choosing the right foods. It's also about how you prepare them. Tomatoes are most beneficial when eaten fresh or lightly cooked. Fresh tomatoes in salads are an excellent choice. You can also add them to omelets, vegetable dishes, soups, or whole grain meals. Cooking tomatoes can even increase the availability of lycopene, the antioxidant linked to heart health. But here are a few simple tips to remember. Try to avoid tomato dishes that include large amounts of added sugar or refined carbohydrates. For example, pasta dishes with sugary sauces may affect blood sugar more than the tomatoes themselves. Pair tomatoes with healthy fats like olive oil or protein sources. This combination slows digestion and helps stabilize blood sugar levels. So instead of avoiding tomatoes, the smarter approach is simply eating them in the right way. And finally, let's summarize what every diabetic should remember about tomatoes. So, are tomatoes good for diabetics? For most people, the answer is yes. Tomatoes are low in carbohydrates, rich in nutrients, and generally have a minimal impact on blood sugar levels. They also contain antioxidants that may support heart health, which is especially important for people living with diabetes. However, the key is moderation and preparation. Fresh tomatoes and homemade dishes are usually the best choices. Processed tomato products with added sugars should be consumed carefully. And as always, individual responses to food can vary. If you have diabetes or other medical conditions, it's always a good idea to discuss your diet with your doctor or a registered dietitian. This video is intended for educational purposes only and should not replace professional medical advice. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel for more simple and practical health information. And feel free to share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. Your feedback helps us create more useful content for you. Stay healthy and see you in the next video.